All right, folks, we're live. We're recording now. Welcome to the call tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. So welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have all of you here tonight. So I have to flash back for a second to Vegas. So Christine, Steve, and I are sitting in this Ruby convention breakout. And I think all of us had the same epiphany at the same time, which is we need to bring some of this information to all of you because we were just so moved by what they were sharing, what they were talking about. And I have to tell you guys, it's not necessarily rocket science. I think we've heard a lot of this before, but some of the way they positioned it to us and the way they made us think about it, I think all three of us seriously had aha moments. So that's why we're here today, is to share with you some of our takeaways, just because it really motivated us. We all three came out of there talking. We all went to lunch. We talked through lunch. It was just a very impactful breakout session for us, and we wanted to make sure that you heard that too. So let me share my screen because we did put together a few slides just to help make us a little bit more productive here. So one of the things, if you didn't go to convention, but you saw the recap and how all of the energy that came out of that really was focused on believe. But if we boil it down, what did that really mean to all of us? It really meant that you had to believe in yourself and you had to have confidence. And so when we were talking about bringing all of this to you, I think what we really want to leave you with is the concept of you have this, like you have what it takes. And the three people that spoke to us made us believe that even more. So tonight we're going to talk about really reminding ourselves how to build our belief, how to build our brand, and ultimately how to build ourselves and our business. So we're going to start with belief first, because one of the things that they said in the session was it starts with you. You got to focus on you first. You first. If you aren't first, then your business isn't going to happen. Like, you really need to think about what this means to you and your belief within the company. So one of the thoughts that we had here was one person will not make or break you. And what it really meant by that is that everything about this business has to do with you and your confidence in yourself and what you're able to do to help other people. Opinions of others, we know that they're out there. It's network marketing. Everybody has an opinion of it, and everybody thinks everybody posts on Facebook about selling face stuff or plexus stuff or whatever they're selling. But I think at the end of the day, they really challenged us to say, what is your belief scale? And really, they asked us between 1 and 10, what is your belief scale? And it was interesting because they really said it should be 11, right? Like, this is not us just kind of dabbling, thinking it's going to work. We really have to be all in, all out, thinking about ourselves, being confident, working this business, and really trying to put the naysayers aside, really thinking about this from an aspect of, we made a decision to show up, to invest and to do this, and that should be all that matters. So a couple of things, and then I'm going to turn over to Christine and Steve to add into this. I thought it was interesting because they said, well, where does belief come from? And I was like, well, where does it come from? And they kind of let us think about that for a second. And they said, one, you got to know the business. You got to understand network marketing. You have to know your products. So think about like Sarah Taylor and Amy, what they're sharing with us daily is learning the products. They tell us to learn the comp plan, be confident in where the money is coming from and how the business works, and then knowing yourself. And like I said, when I led this off, like, none of this is going to feel like rocket science to us, although we do have a geologist on the phone. Sorry, Steve.
It's not rockets, though.
Yeah, that's rocks.
Rockets. It is rocks. But at the end of the day, all this means is finding your confidence in and of yourself, and really working that. And I don't know, like, I don't know why that hit me so differently coming out of that session. But it really did. And I know it's same for Christine and Steve. So I want to let you two kind of add part of what came out of for the belief piece for you guys.
Okay. Steve, do you want me to talk or do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Oh, Christine.
Okay. So I wanted to touch on something really quick before I started what I wanted to say. One was your belief in yourself. And one of the things that I've learned in my journey is that my belief from one day to the other kind of changes. So we kind of ride on this high when we enroll a new team member, or we find somebody that's really interested or has a lot of like momentum with them or whatever. But your belief needs to stay the same even when you're planting seeds and you're not seeing the harvest. You're always got to keep that same belief and get off that roller coaster a little bit. And that's something that really spoke to me. Like that belief has to stay the same all the time. So the main if I had to come back with like one statement or one overall blanket statement that summed up what really dawned on me in this Senior Ruby breakout session was belief, which in my mind, I need to break it all down, which comes from confidence, which comes from exactly what's on this slide that Sarah has up, which is, know your business, know your products, know the comp plan. We need to exude that confidence, because the hardest part about being new to this business is that when somebody comes up to us in those first few months and says, well, what is that you have? What's the drink you're drinking? Or what is this plexus that's on your shirt? And then we get that deer in the headlights look, like, how do I sum all of this amazingness up into a statement that's not going to overwhelm that person, but is still going to show that I'm very confident in what I'm talking about? And that confidence has to come from knowing your products and just being confident that you have the answers. So one of the things that I've been trying to do with my team is to actually really pour into them and build their product knowledge, build their knowledge of the comp plan, because quite frankly, I was overwhelmed with the comp plan until I hit probably senior gold and really sat down and tore it apart and understood all of it. But you need to understand it in order to share that opportunity, and it's a huge opportunity. And just making sure that your belief is going to come from confidence. Confidence is going to come from practicing, just knowing and being confident in your knowledge. There's just a handful of really big things that hit me. One is, if you want to be a jewel, you need to act like a jewel now. And that encompasses a lot. But when I say that, it means you need to carry yourself like a jewel when you're out interacting with people. You need to think about, like, I'm huge on plexus swag. Everywhere I go, I wear something plexus, or I have something plexus. It's like a uniform would be to somebody else going to a job for me, because it incites like conversation and sparks those questions. Lead among your peers. People are always watching what you say and do. So if you're wearing your plexus shirt and your plexus hat, but you're carrying around a sweet tea from McDonald's or, a Big Mac, then there's a conflict there. You need to make sure that you know what you stand for when you're doing this. And that's not to say that, we don't go out and have cheat days or whatever, but overall, you need to make sure that you're exuding what we stand for, which is health and happiness. And that goes for even your presence, like on social media. We are the health and happiness company. So if your posts don't align with that, it's conflicting to people.
I got people saying they can't get in.
The other thing that hit me hard, your vibe attracts your tribe, which is going right along with that. What you put out is what you're going to attract. And yes, there are always going to be negative people. I think it was last year's convention when Victor Antonio told us that we just need to stop and delete those. So truly, your presence, your overall mindset, and everything is really important. You need to conduct yourself like a jewel and be that positive person. The other thing is getting used to hearing no's. I hear a lot of feedback. Sarah, do you hear it?
Yes, Steve, you might have to mute us again.
So getting used to hearing no's, and the big thing with that hit me was do it scared, regardless. But did you die? So do something that's out of your comfort zone. And then when you look back on it, was it really that bad? Did you die? That hit me hard. Getting comfortable with the no's. I love the comparison of the waitress in a restaurant. Everybody is in a restaurant in the morning and they have their coffee cup sitting there, and the waitress goes around and asks every single person with a coffee cup, do you want a refill? But she doesn't cry or get upset or feel like they don't like her if they say no thank you. A person tells you no thank you, it's not necessarily a no, not ever, it's not right now. And that's true. I have several people that I personally sponsor that have taken me over a year of just pouring into that relationship for them to trust and be ready financially or personally or whatever. So their no's were not no, not never. It was just not the right time. And then two more quick things, and I'll turn it over to Steve. This quote hit me really hard. This is a quote that was given by a man named Bill Britt, I believe. And he's with Amway. He said, "There is no secret to this. I simply showed the plan to 1,200 people. 900 of those said no. 300 signed up. And out of 300, only 85 did anything at all. And out of 85, 35 were serious. So 35 out of 1,200. And out of those 35, 11 made me a millionaire. So it's really, truly about the no's. I highly recommend, although they didn't mention this in convention, reading the book Go for No. That was a really, really big one for me. I've read a lot of the personal development books, but that one really spoke to me. And then the other thing that spoke to me was, you know, you're not alone in this. Like, you're not doing this alone. You have a whole team. Add 3 every month. Always go for that, but always remember too to keep an eye out for your dream teamer and the qualities of being a dream teamer. And while I think when they gave this to us, it was kind of like keeping our eye out for people that we should have on our dream team in our network as we're networking with people. I actually took this personally. And I went through this checklist, and I wanted to know how does this apply to me? Because when I hear about a dream teamer, while in the back of my head, I'm always looking for people that might be my next dream teamer. I want to be a dream teamer for Sarah. I want to be on her dream teamer list. I want to be on Amy Welch's dream teamer list. And I want to be somebody that Sarah Taylor says, heck yeah, I've got Christine Offholder on my team. So when I go through these, I'm not necessarily looking at everybody else. I'm looking internally and making sure that I represent that, because it all goes back to that act like a jewel now. So here are the 10 that they gave. Be on time. Know your work ethic. Show effort. What's your body language look like? If you guys don't notice, like, I actually have posture tonight. I'm usually like all hunched over. I actually am thinking about this. What's your energy? And I think that's both your mindset energy and your energy. What's your attitude? Passion, being coachable. This is a huge one, you guys, being coachable. Doing extra and being prepared. So those are the things that I really took away from this. A couple of those slides were really good, and unfortunately I don't have the screen share. Like, I don't know, Sarah, if you have the one with the guy with the diamond, like, don't give up, the diamond miner who's like 2 seconds away from hitting and he turns around. But truly, those are the things that really, really spoke to me. And I think the biggest thing for me too overall would be, at this point, would be just to stop comparing. It doesn't matter how quickly you get there. Some people stay at one rank for a year. Some people stay there for a month. Some people stay there longer, but it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there. Just get there. Just keep going in the right direction, and you can't go wrong. So those are my takeaways, my big ones anyway.
No, I love that, Christine, because that definitely shows a lot of how you encourage your belief around it. And, and some of that is definitely, kind of believing in yourself. One of the things you talked about is your team and your dream team. And one of the things that they said is you don't ever have to do this alone, and the concept of me plus 3. So you talked about your dream team. Like, if you don't want to be overworked yourself, like, find 3 people and lock arms, and you keep in touch, go to every Plexus event you can, immerse yourself, wear your swag, praise and raise your team. But I love it, because one of the things when you're ending, you said, don't compare yourself. One of the things that they said that I wrote down, and I actually have it in my office, which is be a racehorse. And, racehorses have those blinders on. It's our journey. We shouldn't compare. We should believe in ourselves. We are enough. We have everything we need. And at the end of the day, we should realize how good we really are. So Steve, from a Manbassador perspective, Christine and I want you to share with the group really kind of some of your thoughts about believing in yourself and what you took out of that session around that.
Yeah, happy to do so. It's funny. During my day job, I reiterate to folks that we've all got our own past experience, and we sort of hear things through that lens of our past experience. So we all pick up on stuff a little bit different. But we all pick, there's a handful of themes that I think resonate through with most people. So I won't be surprised if I'm reiterating a few things here. The big one to me, or kind of the first one, was the idea, and I forget if it was Sheila Medina who said this, but maybe it was Celeste. Don't miss out on the blessing of where you're at. Christine mentioned this. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? And whether you're just an ambassador, or you're at silver, or you're at gold, and you're thinking, well, I'm not senior gold yet, I'm not ruby yet, be grateful for the blessings, whether it's the health journey, the early wins that you have on your own personal health journey, celebrate that. Mm-hmm. Whether it's, sort of the team you started to build, that sort of early financial blessing that you're receiving from that, or the health wins that they're experiencing, right? Celebrate that as opposed to constantly comparing with where could I be. Now, I'm not telling you don't strive. I'm not saying don't dream big, but I'm saying too often we get bogged down in constantly comparing with where could I be and not really celebrating where we're at right now. So take it in, celebrate the wins along the way. And hopefully that starts to help fuel your fire. And getting back to your belief, I think if you're celebrating those wins with where you're at now and how far you've come, that fuels your belief, right? That becomes the passion in your testimony with others as you're encouraging them. Hey, you may not be able to pronounce xyloligosaccharides, right? But you can tell people about your experience. And when you're celebrating it, it comes to Christine's point about practicing, and the more you're talking to people, the more confident you get. So really, really sort of cherish where you're at in your journey right now. The other one that resonated with me is you got to keep going. You got to work through the ups and downs, right? Whether it's, your health testimony, you're going to see some improvements in, this particular issue you've had or that. And then every so often you're going to feel like, I'm stuck. I'm not improving anymore. Whether it's with your business, I added 6 people last month, but I didn't add anybody this month, right? There's going to be ups and downs along the way, but just like any storefront business, you have to be consistent with putting your mission, putting your journey out there for people, letting them know that that you're here for them, and you can support them when they want to start their journey. Because just like what's going on right now, this 10% off special, you've seen people post. This is only the second time in 2 years. You don't know when that stuff's coming, right? So if for the past 2 months you weren't exactly feeling it, you weren't talking to people about it, all of a sudden here's an opportunity where if you've been planting seeds during a period where you thought you were kind of down, now all of a sudden you're ready to harvest. But you've got to be doing that consistently all the time. And again, I think that's easy to do when you're celebrating where am I at today versus where I was, not where I think I could be. When you're celebrating that, it's easy to keep yourself motivated to keep going, when you feel like you're a little bit down. The other one that kind of goes hand in hand with that is you got to be consistent with the ups and downs, and you can't wait on people. Not everybody's going to be ready today. One of the folks, I think it was Lynn, that shared that she added 3 dream teamers here recently. Christine was talking about, dream teamers. She added 3 dream teamers here just recently in the past few weeks before convention. They've been watching her journey for 3.5 years. Right? Had she decided early on, hey, well, they're not joining my team, they must not believe in me, and let that slow her down, where would you be? So keep sharing your story, keep building your belief in the products, in the opportunity, keep putting it out there. And if you're doing that consistently, when folks are ready, they're going to come. But don't wait for it. Just keep putting it out there. The other one, Christine mentioned this sort of community of folks. And I think one of the things that's really helped me build belief is just this I'm continually impressed by this one Plexus approach to the company, this community of Plexus. That's the thing I mentioned, I'm not bragging, but when I was up on stage in front of 12,000 people and they asked me for my experience when I was at the corporate office, and I told them, I said, it's the culture. The culture within this family, I'm not even going to call it a company. The culture is phenomenal. And so, what does that mean to me? That means finding your power partner somewhere. Someone that as you build your belief, you can pour that belief into them to help push them a bit. And every little bit you give, you're going to get it back like tenfold from the people around you. But pairing up with someone that you can help push them, they can help push you. And this isn't, I'm going to pair up with Sarah and all of a sudden Sarah's going to keep me accountable. I don't have to keep myself accountable anymore. That's not how it works. But going through, that process of trying to help encourage somebody else, trying to help push somebody else, you're going to realize, hey, I should be, that thing I'm telling them to do about posting and doing their IPA, I need to be sure I'm doing that too. So it's going to be pushing you along the way. The last kind of big one for me, and this isn't new, it's great the way we've named our team. You got to be your own rock star. And that goes back to the not waiting on other people. You gotta get up, put your yoga pants on or whatever you're wearing that day, put them on one leg at a time and go out and get it done for yourself. It's great to have people pushing you, supporting you. But you're the one that's got to get up every morning and decide, I believe in this. I know my why, and I'm going to go do this for me. And if you're doing that, people they're going to recognize that passion, and they're going to follow right along. They'll be inspired by you leading by example, being consistent, expressing that belief through the passion that you have when you're talking about these products and this opportunity. So that's kind of the big stuff I took away from my man ambassador standpoint. And I felt bad because Christine called me out there. I didn't have any Plexus swag on. I thought when I was home I could take the uniform off. I had to go run and grab a hat real quick.
Sorry.
No, I love it. I love it, Steve. And I love what the three of us are talking about here, right? So it's belief in ourselves. But I think all of us on the phone would agree at some point our negative self-talk, even you, Steve, like the lone man, right? Like we all have this negative self-talk. So one of the things that I love that they talked about after they build us up in thinking about belief is thinking about our brand. Like, who am I? So the best way to combat that negative self-talk is having 100% confidence in who you are. But if you don't know who you are and what these products mean to you and how they're going to represent in your journey to other people, I think that that's where we start going backwards a little bit. So one of the things that they said is to know yourself is to grow yourself. And I love that. That could be used in any kind of context, but really if you don't know who you are, how are you going to grow? And that, I have to say to everybody on the phone, is probably my number one favorite thing about Plexus, is that it pushes you for self-development, professional development, however you want to look at it. And so I look at so many people, I look at Steve, who I've known for years, and Christine, who I've known since elementary school. And these two individuals have grown, as have I, right? So that is what I love, this focus. And Celeste did a lot around the branding and who you are. And you need to understand your brand in order to run your business. And I have to tell you, I don't know if Jen Buckley's on the phone, but if she is, or on Zoom, she would say, where has all of her energy come from? Hey, girl. So you would tell us all that where you're coming from is that you drew a line in the sand. And you're like, well, what does Plexus mean to me? And how am I going to represent that through my filter, right? Like Steve was talking about, who I am. And you have to ask yourself, really, what do you want your audience to see? So they challenged us in this session, and Celeste said, what is important to you? Who is important to you, and who are you? You got to define that. I'm a little crunchy, and I'm a boy mom, and, I'm a corporate woman, and I'm doing Plexus, and I have all these things, and I'm a little geeky at times. I have to make Plexus work for me, and in showing that in my picture that I'm painting to my team and to the people that are my prospects and my potentials around me. Steve is our science guy, right? And Christine's the person that researches everything and has amazing testimonies around health. So I really love that concept about really knowing yourself. And I think several people on our team, if we actually look at it, have proven this out tenfold. If you really take a moment to know who you are, be completely comfortable with who you are, even if you have to fake it a little bit till you make it, you'll still be able to move your business in a different way than I think if I try to be Amy, or if I try to be Sarah Taylor or anybody else, that doesn't look right on me, right? And that doesn't come off very authentic either.
Well, and I think that's part of that is what we're trying to help people do, and why they put that color personality thing right in that rank up roadmap from day one, is that to figure out your color. But I also want to say, just real quick, and I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
If you're still trying to find yourself, don't give up on it. It's not something that's just going to dawn on you. You're not going to sit in on a team call and be like, oh, I need to figure out who I am. And it's not just going to be a light bulb moment and be like, oh, there it is. It took me a really long time, and you're going to grow and change. I would not give the same definition of who I am today as what I was 2 years ago when I started. I really have changed. So, know who you are, but be open to the fact that you're going to grow and change as well. I mean, I'm a very green, yellow person, but I'm striving every day to find my red, blue. And those that have been at all plugged in know what I'm talking about there, but there's different colors that kind of align with your personality traits. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in, that if you don't get discouraged if you're like, but I don't know who I am, because I was one of those people for a long time where I couldn't really put words on it. You know what I mean? That's okay. Just, keep trying to find what it is that you stand for.
Well, I think it's a good point. And no, it was good. And not to call Steve out, but Steve, I'm going to point back over to you, is one of the things, like, I watched you change your brand for the 60-day trim up.
Oh,
you have a different brand today about why you do what you do than you did, even when you started, or even when Amy started this. So I think it's really trying to figure out that and who you are, and then make it applicable to your life and what you're sharing, right?
Right. For me, Vital Biome was huge for me. I mean, I've always had my thing that is what I stand for, but those that know me personally know that mental health awareness has been something that I have advocated for far before I ever stumbled on Plexus. So when they introduced Vital Biome at convention, I mean, it brought tears to my eyes, because I was like, this is something that I can actually say and add into what I truly advocate for. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Sarah, I'll just comment on that. It was sort of this sort of branding with 60-day trim up. A lot of that, it all becomes real simple when it comes back to knowing your why, right? So at convention, Les Brown, when he was up there talking, he quoted the philosopher Nietzsche and said that if you know your why, you can endure any how. And so for me, that was back during the holidays, and thinking about, the age I am, the age my dad was when he had his first heart attack, me having a little girl, and, part of my brand is I'm a dad. That's, that's always going to, from the time your kids are born to the end of time, you're a parent first. And so just realizing, hey, this is something I need to go do. And realizing that there's this whole community of people around you that support you and want to see you be successful. And then that opens you up to being willing to grow and really have self-awareness and really reflect on who you are and how you're aligned with your why. So.
Right.
I love it. And that's one of the things that they shared in here too, like figure out your brand through your why, like what drives you, what gets you out of bed every day, what makes you put your feet on the ground and do what you need to do. Whether it's that you're a dad or you're a mom, or you have, something else that's dependent on you. I couldn't help but really think about when listening to Celeste. So you're looking at it, and it's hard not to be awestruck by Celeste, right? But the fact that she's just so confident about who she is, and did that come because she's successful with Plexus? No, her confidence came first. Her success came second. So I thought that was and I know we've done tons of things around brand, but it really just hit me that if you can't squash the self-talk and know who you are, and be comfortable with who you are, it's going to be hard to apply, what you're trying to do. But Christina, it's a good reminder, like, listen, even if you're figuring out, just keep swimming, right? Like, just keep
right. Well, and I too, with Celeste, I think if there's one name that people hear in this company and know right off, it's probably Celeste Gwen. Like, you start in this company, and it's probably the most tossed around name because she's our double diamond, right? But that goes back to what she's branding. I mean, Celeste is actually branding Plexus, because we all are, right? She's branding that. She's healthy eating and clean eating, like she showed us in that session. But Celeste is branding Celeste too, you guys. Like, how many times do you see Celeste stopped at convention for pictures? That's because people want something that she embodies, and that's Celeste embodying success, and she has that confidence, and that's that vibe attracts your tribe. The other thing that I wanted to say, if I can't pull it right back out of my brain, your why, something that Steve mentioned earlier about just making sure that you remember, like, your other victories, but like don't compare and all of that. I'll be completely authentic in this and say, like, I worked really, really hard to get to Ruby, you know, but there are times when I would get down in the dumps if somebody didn't want to put in the consistency or gave up when I knew that this could help them. And I would literally sit down. There are times when we all have doubts, and I would have doubts. I'd say, I don't know, you know, and thank goodness for my husband. My husband's an ambassador as well. He's upstairs with our 3 kids, so he's not down here on the call. But he would literally say to me, why did you start this in the first place? Why are you taking the products? And I would say, well, because I was sick and I wanted to feel better. And he's like, so if nothing else came from it other than you getting out of bed and being present with these kids, and we still were paying out of pocket for the Plexus, you still have that why to start with. So why would you let, you know, this day or this instance or whatever it was that was making me kick the dirt instead of keeping my chin up? Why would you let that get in your way? It's an obstacle, not a brick wall. Go over it and realize that even if we just get our products paid for us, it's still a blessing. Like, your health is a blessing. Each step is a blessing. So like Steve was saying, don't forget the blessing of exactly where you are. And remember that was really big for me. And I think for a lot of people, I wish I would have been able to grasp that and embody that earlier. My journey would have been, I don't know, I don't want to say less stressful, but I would have enjoyed the journey more, enjoy the ride, they always say, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So anyway.
I think that's important though, Christine, because one of the things, like, so we were talking so much about Celeste and like this celebrity status, and I'm sure people are on the phone or sitting there going, well, I don't look the part, I'm not skinny enough, I don't have the right clothes, I'm not driving the right car, all of that, or I'm not making enough money. But at the end of the day, I don't think confidence has anything to do with that. I loved what you said, like, it's you, right? So this is like answering the question of, how do I become happy? How do I become okay with myself? How do I become authentic? I think a lot of that is just believing in yourself. So
it is, and a lot of it is just faking it, because after a while you're going to believe yourself, truly. I'm the epitome of that, if anybody knows my whole story, truly.
So one of the other thoughts that we had, so the third piece, and I hope you guys can see how this is building, right? So they made us believe in ourselves. They made us think about that we're really as good as we think we are. They made us think about why we want to believe in ourselves. And then they really tried to push it towards your business. And Christine shared this quote, but it was one of my favorite. Like, it really doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you just get there, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I walked away with was, well, one, they showed this graphic, and I'm sure we've seen it before with the iceberg. Like, what we're seeing on the top is not what we see below. Like, at the end of the day, we all have a team. Like, even if you just have one ambassador, you have a team. Like, you are working a business. But one of the things I walked away with was having some transparency and authenticity with people about what it takes to be successful and building your momentum. And that if you believe and you know, then others can believe and they can know. And so really trying to help people know that, like, I may be looking like this is really super easy. And Steve, you could attest to this. Like, all of us on this phone would tell you that your wife makes all of this look super easy, but we know that it's very hard below the surface. But that momentum, that excitement just keeps driving because it's from within ourselves. One of the other things that I love that they said, and this kind of, for me, coming out of the corporate world, it made sense, but I don't know if all of us ever think like this, is to think about this in like a 90-day plan. Like, right now, we're so focused on month by month by month. Like, I'm starting the month, I'm ending the month, I'm starting the month, but really focusing on it in the concept of a 90-day plan. Like, in the next 90 days, what am I trying to do and how am I going to get there? That way, we're not so dead set on the week by week and the month, and am I ending the month in the right way? It's almost like a long-term game. Like, I'm trying to work towards a vision, an idea, a goal, instead of just taking it the week by week. Mm-hmm. They also reminded us to work this like a job. I know Amy tells me that all the time, so I'm certain you've all heard that sometimes, but being intentional with it and leading by example and putting ourselves out there. But I think really what I walked away with is, it is work. Like, at the end of the day, you have to figure out your pace and your work and your plan and your goals, and put your energy to it. And if you do that, then your energy is going to be picked up with the people around you, and the excitement and the speed of that is going to be really, truly dependent on you. So, Christine, Steve, thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I'll be honest, I I give my very supportive upline, I give her grief every so often and tell her, look, hon, a lot of times you make this look so easy. When you talk to people about going fast start gold, in the first month, when we talk about you hitting emerald in just 8 months, it makes it sound like this stuff just happens. It's just easy. I said, I don't know that people actually get how much work you put into this. And I think sometimes we got to talk about that a little more. That, you don't luck into a new car. You don't luck into a trip to Hawaii. You don't luck into a Rolex or a Nordstrom shopping spree, right? I mean, this takes effort, but I'll tell you what, it takes effort inspired by something that you're passionate about doing, as opposed to just checking in on a timesheet to a job that you had before. Because, we've been very, very blessed by the opportunity. But the exciting thing for me is, I watched Amy work in the sort of corporate higher education world for 13 years. And that's great. She had a great job, published author, good salary. There's no passion there. You don't wake up every day inspired to go change somebody's life because, you're going to go commute an hour to your office. So yeah, I agree. You got to work this. You got to be very intentional about it, and that doesn't mean you're fake about it. It just means that you make decisions to do things with a goal in mind. And I think Lynn shared during that Senior Ruby training session. Just an example. She played tennis all through school and hadn't played for years, and she decided she was going to join a women's tennis club. Now, she didn't go say, well, I'm going to go take up a sport just because I could meet people and sell them things. She said, here's something that I used to really enjoy, and I haven't had an opportunity to do it for a while, but now I do. But I realized that by joining this club, I'm going to meet more people. So there was some intention behind it that wasn't fake. It was still aligned with who she is and things that she enjoys. So, yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I think this little graphic here, it seems really simple and cartoony, but there's an awful lot to it.
There's an awful lot to it, and I love it. Like, just be intentional about it, right? But you're right, Steve. Like, if we don't show people what that is, if we don't lead by example or show them the way or model it for them, I think all of us on the phone have probably, because I don't know if I'm pretty certain none of us just woke up one day and said, I want to be a network marketer. Now, there are people, I am certain, that have gone after that career because it works, but most of us could probably claim the title of accidental network marketer. So I think this was a big wake-up call for me in the sense of my team below me. Like I said, even if you just have one person, like what this means, like really showing them the way in an authentic way that they see all of the work behind it. We need to make it look easy and effortless to an extent, but there's a whole lot that goes into it in terms of the work. So one last thing, and then I know Christine and Steve and I would love to answer some questions. One, Christine already said this quote. I love it. Like, do this scared. It's okay. And then ask, did you die afterwards? Like, you're going to have to go into this with a little bit of fear. But, I had a mentor one time that said, if you're not fearful about things that are happening, like a good solid sense of fear, then you're not thinking about it enough. You're not putting enough intention into it. So one last thing, just they kind of ended on this in the session, and I loved it. Like, they basically said, if you forget everything else that we just told you, here are 5 reasons you are not giving up. Because somebody sees something in you that you probably don't see in yourself, and they believe in you. And so you have to use that belief until your belief kicks in. And I love that one, right? Like, all of us go through incompetent moments, and so let's use somebody else. Let's use our upline, a sideline. Steve will give you some confidence if he needs to, but like, you really need to think about that and use other people's belief until yours kicks in. And they reminded us that we were here for a reason. So no matter what you believe in life, I think all of us can probably agree that we're on a journey for a reason. And so we are all here on this call here today just because we're supposed to be. So let's use that opportunity and that blessing. People do business with those that they know and trust, so that they're going to want to work with you. And then they reminded us at the very end that dreams do take time, but we can't give up on that vision.
Right.
So what do you guys think? Steve, you want to unmute us to see if anybody has any questions, or the chat?
I can hit the big unmute all button.
Oh, there's a lot of power there. So guys, thoughts, questions? Like, give us feedback. Like Steve, Christine, and I agreed at the beginning of this when Amy asked us, like, we didn't want to just talk
Hey
to
guys,
you.
can y'all hear me?
Yeah, who's that?
It's Marion.
Yeah, go ahead, Marion.
I have some newbies or some girls on the call that are like literally just starting reaching for silver. And I know that you guys were talking a lot about branding and kind of faking it till you make it. Sorry, I'm at the store with all three of my kids. But I was wondering if you could offer some tips to them on like ways to get started. On ways to get started doing that. I don't know, like, you know, when you're brand new and you're hearing all this stuff, I don't know, just offer some tips, like where could they start from the beginning to start doing that, to start building the branding?
No, we do that, but Marianne, first and foremost, never apologize. That's the beauty of this business, right? You can be at the store with your 4 kiddos doing your thing. I just love that you're present and on here.
Right.
So, Christine, thoughts? How do you do that?
I said, oh, it'll be really cool.
Well, you're gonna have to meet Shirley again, Steve.
All right, I'm gonna
too much power.
I'm gonna mute for just a second, and then let me answer. So, you know, I think to me, it kind of starts with something that both Sarah and Christine hit on, is when you're starting this out, you have to get comfortable from the get-go that you got to do it scared. Okay. Someone who cares about you shared their journey with you, or they wouldn't have shared it. Right. There was something going on in your life that made you want to say, okay, I'm going to get off the fence. I'm going to try this. Right. There was something there. There was some sort of a why. That's got to be your fuel in the very beginning, right? So, you know, you're brand new. You feel like, I don't have this huge health testimony yet. I don't know all these products. I can't explain to someone, you know, what all these strains of probiotic do. You do it scared. And you know what? You do it scared with a network of people that are going to support you. So what's that look like? When you very first start your journey, you share with people, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, whether that's the person bagging your groceries, whatever. You share with people, hey, I've just started this journey and I'm really excited about it. You know, I'd love to see some people join up with me and go on this journey together. And then that's the do it scared part. And then as soon as you've got someone that wants to talk more about it, but you don't quite have that expertise or that belief yet, you throw them in a 3-way with your upline, right? Because they're there to support you. That's what they want, to see you succeed. But you have to get over that initial fear, right, to go ahead and be a little scared and put yourself out there. And then through repetition of doing that, you're going to get comfortable. You're going to start building your belief. You're going to build your confidence. But you only do that by continuing to put it out there.
I think my tips would be, as a newbie, do not let the overwhelming, like there's a whole lot of information that will come at you all at once. I mean, let's be honest, most brand new people that are starting on Triplex for the most part, and just taking your products as a newbie can sometimes be overwhelming. Don't let that stop you from sharing. This is no different than if you were to try a new restaurant or go to see a new movie. Don't think of it as anything different than that. You don't need to have the entire movie credits memorized. Somebody's not going to quiz you on that. And if they did, you could look it up. So be authentic. Don't overwhelm yourself. Keep it simple. Just be yourself on social media or with your friends. Share what you love, and that's what you're doing. And if somebody asks you questions and you don't have the answers, you don't have to have them. You wouldn't expect that person to have the entire product line memorized if they started last week. But my biggest regret, I think, looking back, is saying to myself, I'm not going to share until I can say why I'm sharing. If I would have realized how good this opportunity was when I first started, I would have shared from day one. And it didn't take me very long to start sharing, but even that lag of time that it took me maybe like a month or so, I don't know, before I started sharing, really I could have made a bigger jump start on it. The other thing is don't lose yourself in sharing plexus, offset it. So I see some people that get really into it and they do an awesome job of getting on Facebook or whatever and sharing posts, but then they lose sharing their own personal posts and that turns people off. So make sure that you balance it and don't lose yourself. You're still an authentic person and that's where you need to stay with this. Don't overcomplicate it and use your team.
I was just going to mention one thing real quick. Since we started doing a little bit of Q&A, I'm going to go ahead and hit stop recording. That way, if anybody feels a little more comfortable asking their question without it being part of the video later, or you're afraid you're going to stretch and look funny, I'm going to go ahead and cut the recording off. So the rest of you that missed it, you missed out on all the fun that's happening right after I hit this button. Tune in next time.